So I want to be vulnerable this morning as I'm also eating a Pop Tart for breakfast. The effects of going no contact because oh man, like the past is hitting me like a fucking bitch and I fucking hate it. When you cease all communication with maybe like a partner, a family member, a friend, especially if they abused you or caused you a lot of trauma or stress. Really only got no contact once, I think. And I want to kind of reflect on the different ways because going no contact is not easy. It is not simple. People tell you, oh, you can just leave and it's like you just leave. It's not that easy because people don't consider like humans, like the way humans work, like the things that they think about, like the psychology of it all. It takes a lot to go no contact, and it took a lot for me to go no contact from the person I'm going to be referring to today. First thing is no contact withdrawal, and this is something I made up, but like it's true because despite the way you were mistreated by this person, you really continue to think about all of the good times and oh, like this is just a bump in the road, and you start to second guess yourself and kind of manipulate, like be like, oh, maybe it wasn't that bad, you know. When you go no contact, it's hard not to get back in contact. You want to text them, you may want to call them, you want to interact with them again because you miss their presence despite the way that they treated you. And it takes a lot not to do that. It takes a lot to not send them that text or say, "Hey, what's up?" or try to build things back up again, especially if you feel like you messed up by going no contact and you're scared of how they're going to react to that, whether they're like mad at you or they go cold. It took a lot for me not to go back to this person because despite the really weird shit and the things they said and did, it's like, oh my gosh, it's just like, this is someone I've known for so long. I've cared about for so long. Like, I don't know if I can really stay away from them forever. Like, can I really cut them out of my life? But through a lot of like discipline and for my own well being and the realization that I felt some kind of freedom, 2.5 years later, I have not gone back. And believe it or not, sometimes I still think about like, what if I did? But I know I would hate myself forever if I did that. It's like deep down, you still care about them and you feel like things could be better. Most likely, that's not going to happen. The next thing is you wonder if they're angry. You wonder if they're mad at you for taking space. They're mad at you for, stepping away from them as a person. And this is a lot of like guilting yourself. So this person that I went no contact with, not gonna lie, at this point, probably could not care less. But I will say that I probably did I probably did leave him very confused. The people you go no contact with they can go through like a lot of different reactions. They could be very quiet. They could be very angry. They could be like spiraling. They could be very sad. And you care about this person so much that you care about what they think as to like you going no contact, even though going no contact is for yourself, for your well being, your safety. The little ways that they will guilt you for going no contact or taking space. Oh my gosh. They will try to reel you back in the most like smallest manipulative ways. And not saying that social media is the only factor to doing this, but social media is a bitch, especially if you like talk to them on multiple platforms and stuff like that. It's like they will use social media because like they most likely know that you're on it. Like throw these little signs out there to get your attention, to have you thinking about them. Like for example, for like on Instagram or something, they may post an Instagram note. They may like post on their story, especially if they never do that. They notice that you have taken a step back and that you're gone. And now they want to start posting on their story and posting on their Instagram notes to get your attention. This person that I used to talk to, I had told him, you don't have to unfriend me on anything because we had like a situation before where that happened and it made me like literally start spiraling. But he started unfriending me on stuff. And it took everything in me to stay calm and not want to text and be like, "Oh, what happened?" And, "Oh, no, 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 you didn't have to do that." Like it took everything in me to just stay with myself, not react to the point where he could see it and I was talking to him again. Those are just little examples. There are like other examples from other people's experiences, extreme examples, but like that is an example of like how they try to reel you back in. They want your attention. They don't want you to be like by yourself independent. They want you with them. They want you with them no matter what. Finding people to replace them. This is something that I had to really grow out of in my healing journey because like I said, like this is someone that I really cared about. This is someone that I knew for a while. After going no contact, it's like it depends on the person, but I felt like I was in a mourning process, like as if someone had died. And I've never mourned a person before, so I don't really know what that feels like. I've only mourned animals and pets. Oh my gosh, it just felt like I was going through the motions. Yeah, it's not easy because you think that going no contact would make you like fully feel liberated, but it's like there's still moments where you're processing, where you're angry, where you're fucking crying in your bed. It's a lot of emotions to go through, especially by yourself. And if you don't really have anyone to talk to or a professional to talk to, you'll want to find the urge, or at least I did, you'll want to replace that person. And I've learned that it's not a good idea to do that. Not only because you can't really dwell on that person from the past, but I also learned like it's very inconsiderate to the people that you're interacting with if you just see them as this vessel for everything that the other person was, but only the good parts, if that makes sense. Like you're looking for the good parts in this person that you had in your last person and just not the bad stuff. But then you start looking for that potential. And if the potential is not there, you get disappointed. Like I said, you can't replace them. I spent a long time, like if I saw someone who had like the same qualities as him, same like voice as him, same appearance as him, I'm like, okay, this is my new person. This is him if things were better. But that's not the case. If anything, it's of course better to embrace people for who they are as a person, but trying to replace them is just also showing that you're like dwelling, and yeah, like I said, healing takes a lot. But it shows that you're dwelling on the past and you are forcing it into the present and you can't do that. Another thing is the reminders in life of them and the emotional triggers. If you don't know what a trigger is, it's basically like situations or reminders of something that you went through, and it enacts a response, like emotional or like even physical. Like you get like this very bad anxiety, you may have a panic attack, you may want to cry, or you may feel angry. Like it hits you, can you hear my, it hits you really hard. Some of my triggers pertain to going like no contact, or like the person that I used to, be interacting with on a daily basis. The whole reeling in thing that I talked about, the unfriending, um, the posting like little, I guess, subliminal messages or like little sneaky messages on their story, or things that pertain to the situation, that pertain to you, that are supposed to call out to you and call you out indirectly. That is a trigger of mine, because if that happens with anyone else, it reminds me of this person that I used to speak with. It reminds me of this person and the way that they would use these little tactics to get me to come back to them, like trying to explain myself, apologizing, pleading, but basically have me in their grasp again. The complex emotions, especially guilt and excusing their behavior. So the situation doesn't seem that bad. Like the way they treated you doesn't seem that bad. You guilt yourself for going no contact. You guilt yourself for things that you did that weren't your fault, were not the reason that they acted the way they did. You excuse their behavior, or like, what's the word I'm thinking of? Like you kind of water down the severity of what, like how they treated you. Like you're like, oh, it's not that bad, or maybe he meant something else, when you know deep down like that's not they had ill will. But what you're trying to do is like you're trying to give yourself reasons to go back. You're trying to give yourself reasons to say, hey, I was wrong. I think I'm misunderstanding them. You have to trust your gut. And I've learned this also. I still doubt my intuition. And let me just say this, like, don't doubt your intuition. It's the dumbest thing that you could ever fucking do to yourself. Even if you're wrong, we're all wrong with our intuition sometimes, but it's like gut feelings are there for a reason. If you feel something's off, like, trust it. It's like one moment when you're not like, no contact, you're happy. You feel this freedom. You're not being held back by this person, and then other times you're sad and you're empty and you don't wanna feel anything, or you're crying in your bed because you miss them, even though you feel like you should not miss them. The guilt tripping yourself, the anger, like, it is a fucking roller coaster, and it takes a while to, like, get back into your normal life where it's not affecting you that much emotionally, like, all over the place. It can still affect you emotionally, like, every once in a while where you're feeling those extreme emotions or you're reminiscing, but it really does take a lot of work. And the last thing, which is the hardest part, is healing. What I say is healing is not heaven. Healing is not it's not quick. There's no fast track to healing, especially if you endured abuse or mistreatment for so long. You have to like rewire yourself. You have to like dig deep and understand like, you know, where things may have started. You have to understand your triggers. You have to understand how to deal with your triggers if they ever happen again. Like healing can be hell and you can get to heaven if you work hard enough, but it's not simple. Healing after going no contact is, I'm 2.5 years no contact and I'm still going through my things every once in a while. And I'm still realizing shit about the way I reacted or behaved when I was still talking to this person, um, and how it's affecting me now still. And it's mind blowing because you think after so long, you're fine, you're healed, you've moved on. And that could be true, but there's no guarantee that it won't kick you in the ass later. It's not hopeless to be able to, you know, mend yourself back up and keep going. No contact is not fun. So it's necessary at times, but it's definitely not like easy street. And it's like as much as you want to go back to that person, it's not a good idea. And this is why you don't tell people to just leave their situation. I mean, yeah, like, you know, leaving would be the best thing to do, but it takes a lot for us to process that, yeah, I need to leave. No ifs, ands, or buts. It takes a lot to get there without the but. This is it. You can't do this anymore. I need to find better or do better for myself and just dip. It's not that simple. Anyway, that's it for this video. If you related to anything that I said, maybe didn't relate to anything that I said, have any thoughts, let me know in the comments. And until my next video, whatever I talk about.